The following program is rated TVMA. This program may contain strong opinions, explicit language, and possible adult themes. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the Smoke Free Radio Network or its affiliates. This program is meant for mature adult audience. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hey folks, P. Basardo here, and you're listening to the Smoke Free Radio Network.
Hey folks, Mike Peterson coming back at you again with another show of Rewind. And this has got to fit the all-time classic side to say why Rewind came into being is when we just can't really catch up at the same time or hit a very specific time. Tonight's guest, most everybody around the world knows him as Labworks Vapes. And he is all the way in southern Australia. Now, folks, I'm in Ohio, back here in the States, and that means that there's a 16-hour time difference between he and I. So when he had, when he said, hey, and I could catch up with him, and he said, absolutely, I said, give me 5 minutes to turn everything on. So if you would, I'd like to just introduce everybody. Paul, and this is Paul. Paul, if you would, just for my own edification, how do you pronounce your last name?
Yeah, the easiest way to pronounce it is actually Blamire.
Okay. See, and I ask people because I don't want to sit here and slaughter anybody's name. I did that and stumbled through Dimitri Agrafiotis. It took me forever to learn how to pronounce that and not stick my foot in my mouth. So this evening, we've got Paul. He's coming all the way from Australia, which just blows my mind. Technology these days, for us to be able to sit down and have this conversation is just wild for me, I'm from back in the days when you had the Commodore 64 and you were lucky to have a 300 baud modem. So
I remember those days, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So I loved my Commodore 64 and then my 128 and then went on to an Amiga, then went on to the early stuff that, believe it or not, I even had one of the old Wang computers.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, that's starting to show your age right there. I think the first one that I really did was it was a DOS system, DX266 Intel chip. That'll take you back a little bit.
Yeah, that's taking me back a little ways.
Paul, tell me, we were just talking about the mixture, the concentrates that you have behind you. And you mentioned that you have a line of juice. What line do you have?
I currently own my own juice line here in Australia. It's all under Labworks, all formulated by myself. Currently, there's 30 flavors. A lot of them aren't actually on my website as such. A lot of them are private label that I create for some of my clients here. I've also worked on different projects for different e-liquid makers around the world and manufacturers, but I pride myself on being able to do pretty much the impossible. If someone gives me a profile, I will sit there and work on it and get it right. That's what I pride myself on.
Wow. And I imagine that at that point, some people have come to you with some extremely, no, I don't want to say whacked out, but I would say extremely difficult flavor profiles.
Probably the craziest one was a peanut butter coffee, and I just looked at them and I said, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Are you kidding me?
No, a peanut butter coffee. Oh no, you guys are you're off with the fairies.
Oh, God, that's insane. Before we start talking about there's news that is happening that I really want to get into depth about.
Sure.
What does the average vapor store in Australia look like? And I mean, I guess that I would have to say, in comparison to what I might be used to here in the States.
The majority of the brick and mortar stores here in Australia, they're pretty much set out the same way. They're not very large stores. They don't have pool tables. They don't have, well, some of them have lounges where you can sit around. They've got tasting areas. But with the legislation that's starting to come through, that's all being taken away from us.
They're actually trying to legislate like a destination spot, a lounge.
Well, not even that. The current legislation that's being handed down here in Australia, South Australia is going through the hardest time at the moment, and that's why I reached out to you. I'm trying to get the word out there because the South Australian government has now taken it upon themselves to wheel out laws banning the online sales of vapor products.
Whoa, wait a minute. They want to outright ban online sales?
Correct.
Okay, I want to ask a quick follow-up to that. Do they allow any online sales of any other tobacco product?
In other states, there are laws that allow you to purchase cigarettes or combustibles and then pick it up at the store by showing identification, similar to alcohol laws. It works along the same lines. But South Australia has taken it upon themselves that they would like to completely outlaw online sales of vaping products.
Now, I am not, being the typical American, I am not up to speed with demographics or population densities and things like that. So I would assume that online sales play a rather large part in the vapor industry, correct?
Considering, okay, if you were to overlay the landmass of Australia to North America, it's very, very similar in landmass.
Right.
And we're broken up into different states and two territories. But the majority of the shops or the brick and mortars are actually located in city regions, not rural.
Right.
So the people that have actually switched across from smoking across into vaping, a lot of them live in rural areas. And we're talking anywhere between 2 to 5 hour drives from a regular brick and mortar. So crushing the online sales is then going to send them back to
combustible cigarettes.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of idiocy did they come up with for a reason to do that?
Well, it's exactly the same playbook as the FDA. It's all about the kids. All about the kids. There's no other rationale that they've put forward to us. There's nothing that stands out. They're reading outdated studies. They're reading outdated data. They won't take on board the great studies that have been put out by the likes of Farsalinas, by the likes of the Royal College, by even the even parts of the studies that have come out from the CDC. They won't take that on board either. They're listening to the hype. They're now listening to the hype that's coming out of the FDA and Gottlieb in particular. And we've got a few, how would we put it? Over overqualified, undereducated type people that are thinking that, oh no, we'll just go along these lines. And the other thing is, South Australia also has a gentleman, a professor there, that also sits on the WHO board, which is another issue. It's an issue for a whole nother conversation, how the WHO has actually shut the vaping community out of any conversations or any discussions, even when the vaping community has sent representatives of the vaping community to the different conferences around the world. They've been shut out.
So they're just giving you the finger and they don't really care.
Well, I have a saying here in Australia, and I'm not afraid of using it. I call them arse hats, and I like throwing them under the bus. We have the health minister in South Australia. His name is Stephen Wade. He is not actually a doctor. He is actually a lawyer. Then we also have our federal health minister. Every time I always mess his name up because I like calling him the other word, the C word, which I'm not going to drop on your show. As Australians, we like to call people the C. But his name is actually Greg Hunt. And he is also a lawyer, yet he is the Federal Health Minister of Australia. Now, he takes under advisement from a pack of silly old men and silly old women of the TGA, or the Therapeutic Goods Administration, how this all should play out. Under advisement, not listening to what we're currently doing here, how we do it, or why we do it, or why we're fighting for the rights of vapers. Our demographic is around between 26 and 30 million here, 10% of the current US population. Our current smoking rate is around 10%, or 2.5 to 3 million. But out of that, we've been slowly but surely gaining ground and getting people onto what I say is a life-saving technology. But I'm not allowed to say that here. I'm not allowed to tell you the health benefits of it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're hamstrung in the same fashion that we are.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. In 2014, when I started vaping, and the reason I started, I smoked for 30 years. And I was diagnosed with emphysema. And I had to find a way, after trying the patches, the gums, the sprays, and the pills even. You know, the Zyban in the early days, and then Chantix, which made me trip out like a 15-year-old that's taken his first bit of acid.
Really?
You know, yeah. That didn't do me any good at all. No good at all. It was not fun. I tried all of that, and I still went back to cigarettes every single time. I think the longest I actually quit smoking for, I think, was about 90 days. And then I went straight back to it.
Wow.
And then when I switched out to vaping, even in the early days of, you know, some of the smaller systems, and now where I'm at with open systems, I build all my own coils, I make all my own liquids, and I know what I'm doing, and I like the flavors that I vape on now. It's, you know, a null and void. There's no comparison between the two at all.
I'm going to ask real quick, how did your emphysema condition change, or what did it do after you vaped? And especially now for this long, going on 4 years.
When I was first diagnosed, I couldn't, you know, I couldn't walk, you know, a mile. I was wheezing. I couldn't sleep properly. I was having problems sleeping, problems breathing. Now, I can walk as far as you want me to walk. I can walk up and down stairs without a problem. I can do things that I was never capable of doing, I suppose, when I was still smoking cigarettes.
Wow.
And I wasn't smoking what we call tailor-mades or ready-made cigarettes here. I was rolling my own. I was rolling anywhere between 30 to 60 a day because of the industry that I worked in. So I had a cigarette in my mouth from the time I woke up. I actually rolled a cigarette, lit it before I even got out of bed of the morning.
Oh my God.
That's how bad I was.
I don't think I was ever that bad, but I was the classic guy. Once I got up, whatever beverage I was going to have for the morning, there was a cigarette that went right with it, hands down. And before you went to bed, you got to have a smoke before you go to bed. Wow.
Yeah, well, I used to work in the horse racing industry, and our motto in racing was nicotine and caffeine. It keeps you going. That's what it was all about.
Yep.
And if you didn't have a cigarette in your hand, you either had a coffee in your hand or you had a beer in your hand. It was one of the three. So all three play in the same bracket in my world. I found it ever so hard, even after I had my face rebuilt. After I had my face or my nose and everything else busted up, I found it ever so hard. I couldn't breathe out of my left nostril, and smoking just aggravated that even further. Now I can do pretty much whatever you want.
Wow.
It's not a problem. My breathing has completely changed. My cardio guy, he says I'm all good. My breathing guy, I'm all good. Like my ear, throat surgeon, even my plastic surgeon, he said, "Wow, this is a massive turnaround." Even my GP, same thing. He's like, "Wow."
And none of the people who want to ban online sales are listening to anything of that nature.
Not at all. Not at all. You listen to what the TGA has come out with, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. I was part of a very small part of a documentary. I was oh God. I was part of a documentary via 60 Minutes, and he actually came out on air, which absolutely mortified me. Absolutely mortified me. That e-liquids contain ethylene glycol. He stated this live, and this went to air. And I said, how? Obviously, you've got your glycols all mixed up.
Yeah, to say the least.
And I thought, how the hell have you got to this point? How can an industry or the industry body that controls all of the medicines and everything else similar to the FDA, how the hell have they allowed this to happen? I've never been able to understand that.
Now, here in the States, the master settlement agreement and taxation, and we'll call it states' income, are driving much of why they're trying to ban vaping here in the States, or we're trying to get rid of it. It comes back to money. Would you say it's fair to say the same thing is happening there? Is it due to money, or is it due to something more political?
I think it's got a little bit to do with both. I think the tobacco taxes here in Australia they rely on that, but nothing in comparison to what the United States does because of your demographic and the size of your population. Here, an average packet of cigarettes, because we now have a 12.5% increase, either half yearly or yearly, depending on how the government feels at the time, as how they want to gain their taxes. An average packet of cigarettes now here in Australia is between 35 Australian dollars and 45 Australian dollars for a packet of cigarettes.
Wow. That's got to come pretty close to comparable for US dollar.
We're currently running at about somewhere between 70 and 73 US cents to the dollar. So you're still looking at 30 US dollars a packet of cigarettes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. And you know, some of the guys that I speak to, they're on the East Coast, and they're worried about $10. And I said, "Oh man, you've got
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah,
You've got nothing in comparison."
Here in Ohio, I think I would have to actually go to the gas station or convenience store and actually look, but I want to say they're like $6.50 or $7 a pack. You know?
Yeah.
Which is, it blows my mind that they have that kind of taxation where you are. Number one, that people still pay it, you know, but then there's the addiction. But two, you know, and now they want to turn around and take away yet another avenue from the people that do vape. Because nobody's going to drive 40 miles for a 60 mil, you know?
No. And that's where, well, 60 miles is, you know, that's a hop, skip, and a jump. When you're talking, you know, in US terms, here a 4-hour drive that can be up to 400 kilometers.
Oh my God!
So you're going from rural areas in Australia to your local vape store to pick up a 60 mil. While you're there, you're going to spend $200, $300, $400, $500, and you're going to stock up for a period of time. But there's one other thing that we haven't added into this conversation yet. We're not allowed to actually supply any of our liquids here in Australia with nicotine in it. We actually have to import and add the nicotine to our liquids.
So do you have, I think the correct term would be, if you import any liquid, it would be a short fill bottle. That would require...
if we import a liquid from outside of Australia, from say New Zealand, the United States, Canada, England, anywhere else in the country, we're allowed to actually have that already set up with the nicotine in it. If we're to manufacture and sell our liquid here in Australia, then you have to import your nicotine to add to your liquid. It's very backward, isn't it?
That's massively counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Did they set that roadblock up, hoping for failure?
Okay, nicotine. You're gonna love this one, Mike.
Oh God,
you're gonna absolutely love this one. Okay, so nicotine falls under the Poisons Directive here in Australia, controlled by, again, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. Yet you can get nicotine for farming and agriculture without a problem. But if it's to be used in a vaping product, nicotine is classified as a Schedule 7 drug, which is in the exact same category as heroin. So, like the ultra high form of narcotics.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not fucking kidding.
Jesus. How the hell did they get away with that?
Well, you better ring the TGA and tell them they're full of arse-hats, and the clown that's running it doesn't understand what we're trying to do here. You know, we're not trying to kill ourselves. We're trying to save our lives.
Oh my God.
It keeps getting better.
You're joking.
The more you dig into this, the better it gets. We'll start with Queensland for argument's sake. If you're found to either be selling or hold a vaping liquid that contains nicotine, it's a $9,500 fine per 30 ml bottle. Right?
Oh my God.
And the Queensland Health Department has a dog in a vapor hotline. So whoever created that one, that's fun and games. In New South Wales, where I live, it's an $1,100 fine. You go to Victoria, I'm not 100% sure because they were starting to mess around with the figures there. That was another figure. You go to South Australia where they're trying to absolutely decimate and destroy the whole industry, where 2/3 of the biggest players are currently. And then we get to Western Australia. You ready for this? This one's good. Hope you're sitting down because you're going to love it. The fines in Western Australia are $45,000 or up to 10 years in jail.
$45,000.
Yep. Game on, motherfuckers.
Oh my God. There is no way in hell that can be justifiable.
No.
Listening to that, I would almost bet that same fine is not leveled for somebody with a gram of cocaine.
No, it's not actually, because Western Australia is actually one of our biggest mining communities in Australia. So you could just imagine the drug use that goes on in Western Australia. And we're not talking coke. We're talking everything else. Every drug under the sun you can find comfortably over there. But if you're found to be, supplying vaping products with nicotine, it's 45 grand and up to 10 years jail. We had one gentleman here a couple of years ago, had a vape shop over there. Sure, he was nicking up his juices for certain clients, and he got pinged. He ended up, I think, $800,000 out of a home, everything else. He lost the lot, all of it. Lost everything.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Now, I've heard some truly seriously screwed up things in my life, but that has got to take the cake.
Well, welcome to Australia. Look, even though, once upon a time, Australia was a British colony, we were sent here all as convicts from the UK. Now, the whole fucking country is run by fucking criminals.
Convicts.
No, the country is run by fucking criminals. Simple.
When they turn around and they can justify giving somebody a $45,000 fine for that, you're right. That is pure and simple a criminal activity all in itself. Let me ask, what are they hoping to achieve? I know that wiping out the vapor industry is their goal, but to what end? So they increase cigarette sales?
Well, okay. Cigarettes now, for the majority of people here in Australia, we have regulated health. We also have social benefits, and if you reach out to the lower socioeconomic, they're the ones that have got problems. They're the ones that smoke heavily. They do everything else, but they're also going without food so they can buy their cigarettes. Yet they will not listen. They will not listen to something that could help. Yet, very recently, in the last 24 hours, the Australian and New Zealand College of Psychiatry has actually come out and said that they would like to see this industry regulated to help. And this is on the back of another article that was written by Queensland University. I do not have the gentleman's name in front of me, but he actually then threw vaping under the bus and said vaping causes schizophrenia and other psychological problems. And I said, oh, you have got to be joking me. You have got to be joking me.
And these people are not held accountable for what they're saying?
We have very little recourse here. We have a body known as Avatar, Australian Vaping Technology and Trade Association, and they're doing a lot of research into it. We also have another organisation called ATHRA, Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction. We also have, it's similar to Not Blowing Smoke. It's known as the New Nicotine Alliance. The gentleman behind all of these is Dr. Attila Danko, Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, Dr. Alex Wodak, and none of our efforts so far have been taken seriously by the government. Nothing. Not one.
Even the flavor study done by Dr. Farsalinos in Greece.
No.
Because that was, to me, one of the most credible surveys that were ever done. Because he did it everything that man does is by the book, medically. Here it is. Here's the facts, presented correctly.
Yeah. The other thing that we're finding now, and I reached out to a few of my peers via Instagram, and they're actually saying now that the information is now being geo-blocked here in Australia. That the government is actually figuring out ways to geo-block certain information getting to the right people. I already have one of my clients coming to me and he's saying, I've just heard that vaping is banned in South Australia. What do I do? I said, what? It's not banned yet. Nothing is banned yet. It's abominable. Yeah, it's sort of the word, but yeah, you know where I'm coming from.
I do. That's reprehensible for everything that they're trying to do. Well, how quick are they, or has it already passed? How quickly are they actually trying to do the online sales ban altogether? Or is that something that they just wrote up, signed, and it's law?
Okay. Currently, the ban is in play for South Australia. They've signed it through. We have two houses of parliament, the upper and the lower house, and from what I've read so far, it has passed. So that's the first stage of it. Then they'll give somewhere between 3 and 6 months before they can actually roll out these bans. We already have businesses that work specifically online that are actually moving state.
Really?
Like moving their whole business and family to another state so they can keep trading. We've even got businesses that have moved from Australia, and I'm going to name both of them, one being Vaporize, the other one being Wick & Wire. Vaporize is based in South Australia. Wick & Wire is based in Melbourne or Victoria, Australia. Both of them have moved operations to and liquid manufacturing to New Zealand so they can nick up their liquids and then send it back into Australia.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. The irony.
Move out of country so that you can sell in country.
Correct. But if this ban gets wheeled out Australia-wide, which that's what they're planning on doing right now.
I was going to say, if it takes effect in one area, I'm assuming that it would find its way to steamroll across all the others right along with it.
If this ban gets rolled out Australia-wide, this means that I can't pretty much collaborate with any of my friends in an online way anymore to work on something. If I was asked by a shop in Melbourne to collaborate on a liquid, I can't do it because I'm then breaking the law as such.
So it's not even so much as the actual sale. They're telling you you can't do anything online in regards to vaping.
Vaping. Yes.
So theoretically, if that actually were to happen, we would be breaking the law.
Correct.
Jesus.
Yeah. We might as well wheel out that old Judas Priest track, breaking the law, because
that's screwed.
It's fucked up. It's not screwed. It's fucked up.
How the hell do they even think? I apologize, but it just blows my mind that they think they can actually get away with doing that. That's like censorship in the worst.
Well, we've been censored here for a long time in Australia, and if I hadn't have reached out to one of my friends the other day, and that's where a video that's up on my YouTube channel, I reached out to Chuck Allen, aka NorCal Sick Boy. I reached out to him. I also got Sam Parsons, aka the Vaping Bogan. He's another big reviewer. And then Matt Cully jumped in on the conversation and sucked my mod. He's also a huge advocate for vaping. We put together a little discussion. We had a little chat, and we put together a little video on how detrimental this is actually going to be for the industry here in Australia. Sam and myself have been working in the background trying to figure out how to get around this. Sam lives in South Australia, and we don't know, because we haven't seen the final laws, whether or not he's going to be able to keep reviewing, because he lives in South Australia. And he's a YouTube reviewer, with, 130,000 followers. That's his livelihood. That's what he does now for a living. And he's a huge advocate. He helps both Australia, New Zealand, United States, anywhere for calls to action. He will help. He is there with a drop of a hat to help people.
And they're just going to turn him off.
I fucking hope not. If they try that one, there'll be uproar.
Oh, my God.
Trust me, there'll be uproar.
That's just as bad as the censorship
I hope
in
Sam
China.
Doesn't get shut down.
I hope he doesn't either. That's beyond retarded.
Yeah, but you obviously know the people that I'm talking about. Yeah. And these guys are all very respected in the community. And we're all advocates. I as I said in something I did earlier today, I don't hold my tongue. I will call people an arsehole because they're an arsehole. If you do not know what the fuck you are talking about, shut the fuck up and go back to your little box, and we'll get to you when we've got time. Simple as that. I'm sorry, but
truth is truth. There's no reason to mince words. Lord knows I don't. Well, I try to retain some level of, okay, I try not to be so foul or crass, but my God, that's completely fucked up. In the fashion of what they're going about and trying to do, all for a dollar bill.
I've reached out to so many of my friends in the vaping community over the past few weeks because of what we're going through here. If the FDA was to take a page out of the Australian playbook, you guys are screwed. And I mean screwed, because all you have to do to change what I understand in the United States is it needs to be an act of Congress, and they can. And the FDA does have the power, my understanding and what I've been reading about the law. If they went to Congress and they wanted online sales banned and they wanted everything just to go back to brick and mortar, so be it. But how the fuck are you going to silence social media? What, is there going to be blanket bans across the world? I don't think so, because the FDA, and if you're listening, FDA and Gottlieb, you do not own the internet. You never created the internet. The internet is a free place to express opinions and give advice. So go fuck yourself. You're not going to go down that pathway. If you try that one, the world will take you on and destroy you piece by piece.
I had just a discussion on that very same topic, and it was centered more around Facebook and YouTube. And the way that it was basically explained to me is YouTube can do whatever they would like, whenever they would like, because of their use policy. They could just black out all vaping because they want to. And there's not anything anybody could do about it. And Facebook being the same way, being a privately held company, they could turn around, well, you know, we're going to take a page from this in the FDA, and we're just not going to allow anything that says vapor products on it on our pages any longer. So it's not even. All the FDA has to do is lean a little bit on some of these companies, and it's like, oh, holy hell's going to break loose. I don't know that it will come to that.
That's what I'm getting at. That's exactly what I'm getting at, Mike. I'm not going to sit back and allow, politicians and corporations to control something that. All right, I'll put it blatantly. The genie's out of the bottle in vaping. You want to try and stuff this genie back in the bottle? Sorry, it's helped more lives around the world over the last 10 years get off combustibles than any other technology that even Big Pharma has put in front of us.
Yep. I wholeheartedly agree.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're 110% correct. The success versus failure rate. They don't talk about success rates for NRT products. They talk about the failure rate at 93%. Those things just don't work, and people know it.
No.
And as a matter of fact, somewhere just earlier today, I read an article saying, I believe it was Kevin Crowley that had come up with the article or had a link that the initial gum, Nicorette or nicotine NRT gum that only had nicotine in it failed until they put a secondary additive in the gum. Did it even achieve a 7% success rate? So it right there, it's something that's going, hey guys, whatever the hell you're doing, it's not working.
Well, here's another little avenue that we'll go down. I actually work with Kevin Crowley and David Gerlowitz.
Yep.
I'm part of the David G. Model Citizen podcast. And David G. and we also do another program called Butting Heads, and we call it for what it is. We don't hold back. We're willing to throw anyone under the bus. David was there at the get-go. He was the poster boy for Winston. And to come full circle and me to be able to call him a very good friend of mine, we speak on a daily basis. Kevin Crowley and I feed him information all the time, and I'll be doing a few blogs regarding Australia with him over the next couple of days. These guys know what they're talking about. I also respect Phil Basardo, and I also respect Dimitri. Those guys I look up to, and I look to them sometimes for help. I asked Timmy the other day if he could help with what's going on here in Australia, and he's still trying to figure out how he can help. And I said, well, I'd really like a mention, because the problems that we've got here in Australia and the draconian laws, that's the only word describable for what we're actually going through here in Australia. Draconian. It's not.
It's true.
It's unfair.
It's 100% true. Saying draconian is like even an understatement for that. Draconian, at least has some kicking room, and what we're experiencing is just outright plain old shit.
Well, as David says, in our podcast, it's time for, civil disobedience.
It's a nice way to
It's
put it.
time. It's time to march. It's time to cause mischief at the top level. It's time to vote these clowns out of office and to take their paychecks away. And it's time to actually show that we do have a voice here in the community and that we're not a pack of idiots, that we know what we're talking about. We found this technology for what reason? Because we wanted our life to, keep going for a little bit longer than, what, Pharma says or big tobacco.
Yep.
We don't need that anymore. We've got this. And guess what, guys? You're not going to take it away from us. Good luck.
I was searching for, and I'm just going to transition over for people that are going to pick this up and watch it later on. You had mentioned David G. I had the capability to meet him, and he has actually become a good friend of mine, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a store, a vapor store in Columbus, Ohio, belongs to James Jarvis. And both David Gorlitz, Kevin Crowley, and Fig Ramsey were all in the same spot. So, of course, I said, yes, I'll drive 4 hours to come down and meet you guys. That's a no-brainer. But listening to him in what he's saying and the passion that he has blows my mind all the time.
That's why David and I get on. We're straight shooters when it comes to this topic. We don't beat around the bush.
No.
Someone asked me a question about vaping. If I do not have the answer, I will go and find the answer. Simple as that. Bottom line, I don't care.
And that's the way to do it. 100%. All right, if you would.
I've even broken the law here on occasions with friends that are trying to transition from cigarettes. I don't care.
When somebody turns around and they hold up a pack of cigarettes and they look at you and say, this product, if used as directed, has a 50% likelihood of killing you. And you hold that to one side, and you pick up a vapor product, and you say, this product, if used as you're supposed to, has little to no chance of killing you. Nobody's died from vape or nicotine.
No.
And to hold these two pieces up in front of somebody and say you can get your nicotine fix in either way, especially now with the advent of nicotine salts and all this other shit, what the normal rational person is going to go, I want to try that. Can I try that?
Yeah.
And yet you, any manufacturer, any shop owner here in the States, we're not allowed to tell them that.
No, but the other thing is here, New South Wales and Victoria, all vape products have to be behind closed doors now or in cabinets. Okay? So you can't see the products. In New South Wales, you're still allowed to taste juice. Victoria, my understanding is that you're not allowed to taste liquids anymore. In South Australia, they're even taking the premise away of a digital menu. You can't have what the flavor profiles are. You can't describe what the liquids are. There are also no vaping in shops in South Australia and Victoria. New South Wales, you can still taste liquids. Queensland, I'm unsure of the law there at the moment. I'll check up and we can reconvene and do another one of these. But again, it's unfair. But they're putting blanket bans on something that's helping people, not hindering people. So
I can't get over that.
I can't get over it either.
I've got a few more questions for you, but I'm going to stop and take a quick break so we can run our sponsors, because without our sponsors, Smoke Free Radio could not do what it does. We'll be right back.
Hey now, this is Dimitri with Smoke Free Radio reminding you to please show some love to our wonderful sponsors. Without them, there would be no Smoke Free Radio, and they are as follows. All the way from Florida, Moon Mountain Vapor, with locations in Florida and their liquid available for wholesale and retail, moonmountainvapor.com. Some of the best custards and tobaccos on the market from the Brickwills Vaping Company. The lovely Shell with a vapor bar, locations in Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. And of course online at thevaporbar.com. And who says you can't have award-winning e-liquid without cartoon characters? That's exactly what you're going to get at theplumeroom.com. And finally, of course, the Vaping Advocate magazine that has generously provided the telephone lines for you to communicate with us. Thank you for your support. And finally, for you, the listener, don't forget to check out the coupons and codes page on Smoke Free Radio. Pick up some e-liquid and save some money. From all of us here at Smoke Free Radio, thank you for your continued support.
Hey folks, P. Basardo here, and you're listening to Rewind with Mike Peterson.
Coming back with the absolute reason that Rewind is here. That Paul is all the way in South Australia. Again, 16 hours ahead. So it's 12:30 at night my time. What time is it right now for you, Paul?
No, it's 4:30 p.m. here.
4:30 on Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, Tuesday afternoon. We're in the future. Would you like the lotto numbers?
Here's something you're saying, and again, this is almost a universal garbage thing that is happening, is people are going through and saying all about the kids. It's the kids this and the kids that. Are they having a problem with anything like a jewel product, a pod product? Have they focused on that to start bitching about things?
No, pods aren't really available here in Australia. The only pod systems that are here, well, we don't have the jewel for one, because we can't supply nicotine liquids, so we don't have that problem. They are sourcing certain, salt-based formulas from outside of the country, but no, we don't have that problem.
Wow,
that's not an issue here yet. We have, certain reviewers, and Sam and I went over this the other day. He likes using pod systems when he's out and about. I have, I think I've got one pod here. The majority of the time, as I said before, I use an open system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like the idea of, ramping up to, 20, 30, 50 milligram nicotine. I vape 3 milligram all day, every day.
That's all I do.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
3 milligram, and I enjoy vaping so much that I'll just sit here and rip through it. I've got an RDTA, and I'll go through 5, 10, 15 mil a night while I'm working and sitting, but it's all 3 milligram. I actually tried a pod system that had a 50 milligram salt nic in it, and oh my God, I about hacked up my lungs. I couldn't stand it. It's just not for me.
No, it's the same as me. Even in my RDAs or rebuildable, it's all 3 milligram. I've got 20 milligram here somewhere that someone sent me, to try out. try out a flavor. Had a couple of rips on it, like in a very small system. I went, no, not for me. Can't be. I'm not going down that pathway. I don't need more nicotine than what I'm currently used to.
No, I'm the same way. Hey, curiosity. You say
Sure.
the RDAs versus coils, pre-built coils and things like that, or mouth to lung.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most prevalent in Australia?
Predominantly here, it'd have to be pre-built coils. We had a very big saturation with smoke products, or smoke, as they like to call them in the US. There was a huge influx of their products over the last, 18 months, 2 years. Then some of what we classify as hobbyists now, hobbyist vapors. We collect, nice toys. We like vaping on good equipment. RDAs are a big thing. Australia is known for, well, in comparison to the United States, our flavors are completely different. We base a lot of ours on fruits, tropical because of our demographic. There are, the people in the community that do enjoy bakery. I enjoy bakery. One of mine, I've got a milk chocolate banana bread that I vape on. And then I've got cinnamon buns, like the cinnamon scrolls that you get in the United States. But for the majority of the time, I'm vaping on lemonades or mangoes, guavas, pineapples, things like that. Things that have got a lot of flavor, a lot of punch to them.
Wow. Hey, I find it odd that Juul and things like that, but again, because of current restrictions, laws, and that they have in place, Juul would never be able to get a foothold in what you're doing at all down in Australia. What can people do if there's going to be anybody that is in Australia, especially South Australia? What can people do to try to help either undo this law, get things changed? I mean, if somebody down there were watching this show or listening to the podcast later on, what would you suggest that they do?
They reach out. They reach out to their local member. They reach out to the health minister in South Australia. His name's Stephen Wade, and his email address is ministerforhealth@sa.gov.au. Reach out, send him an email and tell him, no, I don't want to be part of this. I still want to be able to, buy my supplies online. I want to be able to walk into a shop to be able to ask questions. I want to be able to be shown different products, how to set the products up. That's the other thing that they're going to try and stop, how to show a person how to first prime a coil. So here's the other irony. So you walk into a store, you don't know whether you want an alien kit or whether you want an AIO, like an all-in-one device. How do we fill it up? Oh, sorry, we can't tell you that. You're gonna have to go online to show you how to do it. Okay, I see a problem with that.
Huge problem.
Yeah, I see the problem straight up and down.
Yeah, we can't show you. It's fair. We're not allowed to show you what you're going to buy. Yeah. You can't taste any of the flavors, so you're going to have to guess. Yeah. If somebody's good behind the counter, they can hit a profile pretty quick or be somewhere in a ballpark of what somebody might like. But you can't see the hardware. We can't show you how to use it. And you're not allowed to see it until you buy it.
Correct.
God. Where the hell did they come up with this shit?
Couple of old men drinking way too much scotch in the middle of the night, sitting in the back room of one of the lobby groups.
Wow. That just blows my brain. That's like, And I know Canada has something similar to where things have to be behind a counter. You can't do this. It's got to be behind a curtain. Lord knows what. But what you're describing is like, I'm going to walk into a high-end car sales dealership, and you're going to have to try to explain to me the difference between a Porsche, a Lamborghini, a Maserati, Ferrari, and then you're going to have to try to tell me what it can do and what it can't do, as well as how to drive the damn thing and shift gears, because I've never driven with a paddle shift. That's insanity. 100% insanity.
I can see other problems coming from this because...
Are you serious?
Well, I can actually see injury coming from this because of miseducation, or not being able to educate. Say for argument's sake, someone walks into a vape shop, they want that device, they want that tank, and they put it together and bada bing, bada boom, because they're putting together a mech mod with a tank.
I never thought of that.
Oops.
Yeah.
You just sold them a pipe bomb.
Yeah, because all it's going to do, and that's an unregulated on a 50-watt coil filled with liquid. Yeah.
Yep. These are the things that I don't think they've actually taken into consideration. When the original talks were happening with the government, they listened. When there was a change in government, everything went out the window, and they decided, well, quickly we'll do this while no one's looking. And I thought, you smart little fuckers, you want to play this game? Let's play. And I said to you earlier, I'm not willing to shut up. I've even put it out on my Instagram. I put a nice little photo of the South Australian Health Minister with a nice little note stating, "Hello, my name's Stephen Wade. I currently hold the office of the Minister of Health here in South Australia. We're currently in the process of banning the online sales of the life-saving technology known as vaping. If you think this is the wrong decision, please let the South Australian Health Minister know how you feel." I've also done that with the Federal Minister, Greg Hunt. And it's gained traction. It's been plastered all over the internet. Kevin Crowley, I sent him the photos, and he's put them up on Twitter. And numerous other articles that are coming out of Australia, I'm sending him his way because he's got a huge following on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gaining traction now. I never really use Twitter. I use Instagram more. My Instagram, it was never for trying to grow my channel or brand. It was to try and get the truth out there. And this is, these are the other questions. Why are you doing this? Oh, you just want to be a big man in the world. Sorry, but no. I got my start in vaping. I used to be part of Fresh O3 show in the DIY networks a few years ago, and I stepped away from it because I went on to commercial projects. Now I'm back, and you really want me to sit down and lay with the dogs? Wrong answer. No. Wrong person to try and throw under the bus, because I will call you out and I will make sure your face, your email address, and your name gets put out there to the public, and you're just going to be put with the rest of them.
It's the way that it needs to happen, is for people to stand up and pay attention. For people that are listening, watching, that are outside of Australia, what can they do to possibly help in your situation and things that are going on?
Email any of the government departments here, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, the South Australian Government, the South Australian Health Ministry, the Federal Health Ministry, your local members if you are here in Australia. If you have friends that are here in Australia, reach out to them, ask. if they're a vapor, if they're not a vapor, if they're a smoker, and you want to get them off the stinkies and get them onto something that'll help them out long term, do whatever you can. Speak to whoever you can. If you see something out there that is newsworthy and not pseudoscience and garbage information, repost it. Post it as many places as you possibly can. Social media is a great tool to build help and support and get the message and the truth out there. If it's being blocked in your country, find a way to get around it. There are ways and means. If you need to hide, install a VPN, which VPN is a virtual private network. Put it out there. Get past the roadblocks. There are ways and means to get the truth out there if needs be.
Where can people find you? You've mentioned Instagram, but across the social media platforms, where can people find you personally?
On YouTube, I'm known as Labworks Vapes. On Instagram, I'm known as Labworks Vapes. On Twitter, I'm known as Labworks Vapes. I'm followed by some of the heavyweights in the vaping and harm reduction community. Again, I'm also part of the David G. Model Citizen podcast, and I'm proud to be a part of that with David and Kevin Crowley. You know, we try ever so hard to get the truth out there. Now that I've also done this with you, I'll be touching base with you on a regular basis and letting you know whether or not we're having any luck here, or whether or not the ministers of, how am I going to put it, the dickhead departments actually listen to us. And I call a spade a spade. I'm sorry. You know, some of my friends don't particularly like what I do, but personally, I don't care. It's saved my life, and it's saving millions of lives around the world.
And that's what people need to remember, is that we're talking about a product and an industry that even the Royal College of Physicians in England has said it is at least 95% safer than smoking. Nicotine does not cause cancer. Nobody has died from vaping. Earlier today, Dimitri pointed something out to me because he had an email come across, and I can't remember, and shame on me. The gentleman's actually a priest in Father, and I can't remember his name. That's horrible. But he did an episode, and I posted it on Facebook, and he is qualified to talk about addiction because that's what his area of expertise is addiction. And he turned around and he said, and it's like a 6-minute video that he did in 2013. He goes, people need to understand that you can become dependent at times on nicotine. But nicotine is not an addictive chemical. And he explained exactly the difference between nicotine being dependent and being addictive. And it was just, it was amazing. It blew my mind because I never thought of it that way. He goes, you can become dependent upon the nicotine. He goes, a combustible cigarette is addictive. Vaping products can be dependency, but not addictive. And people need to know that. Tobacco-free kids and all this other bullshit that runs around on the web, you know, it's addictive this, it's addictive bullshit. It's not. At all. It's not.
We've even had one of the doctors come out here, one of the zealots come out and say that nicotine's actually carcinogenic, and I went, oh fuck, go back to university, because obviously, you know, the first $50,000 or $100,000 that you've spent wasn't very well spent, because obviously you didn't learn a damn thing.
It's just, I can't see how they can even, to me, at that level, if you have that kind of statement, you better have proof to back up what you are saying. You know, there has to be accountability. Otherwise, that's like running around, I won't even say what I'm thinking, but it's very, very incorrect.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to me that they're allowed to get away, like, and I'm calling out all the doctors, physicians, specialists that have been calling out vaping for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because who's paying your bills? Are you getting a free holiday to Cabo or somewhere? Is that how it's working? Because that's what I'm saying.
I had to go back, and I apologize for being a little bit distracted. This guy's name is Father Jack Kearney.
Mm-hmm.
So if people go and look up on YouTube, Father Jack Kearney, they will find it's like a 7-minute video that talks about the difference between addiction and dependency. And I would encourage a lot of people to go look at it because it'll blow your mind. For the people that don't know. I didn't know. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, look, that doesn't surprise me at all because it's the misinformation is actually destroying the industry one way, but the infighting and the other problems within the industry are also destroying it.
Irresponsible labeling.
Don't even go down that pathway with me.
Now, thankfully, there was a gentleman. He runs a PAC. His name is Sherwin Mena, and he also runs the North Carolina Vapors Advocacy Program for the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across and said to him, when we did an interview, I said, it's child labeling or child appealing labeling. Because I wish you wouldn't say that. He goes, call it for what it is. It's irresponsible labeling. I went, okay, and that stuck for some reason. But yeah, we're infighting. We're not policing ourselves. The crowd here in the States is all about blowing clouds and hand checks and looking good.
Yeah.
I did a funny, stupid picture once. It showed a guy that was outside in the dirt, buried his head in the dirt, and there was a shovel next to it. And I put on there, I said, I slipped and said the word advocacy in a shop one time. And I put that picture on there because it's true. You say advocacy or you start talking about what's right and wrong. I watch shop owners' eyes just glaze over. They don't want to hear it. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
No, I agree. I'm just trying to find it now. It's on Dr. Portal here in Australia. And I'm just trying to find, now we've got long-term is still associated with cardiovascular, respiratory, and gastrointestinal disease and, pancreatic, lung, and breast cancers. I went, nicotine? Okay, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Let's just cherry pick some of these. These are absolutely hilarious. It gets funnier and funnier and funnier. I'm going. I think that's cigarette smoking. That's not vaping.
Yeah. There was Bill Tarling and I and a couple of other people. I've spoken with so many people right now. But even now, I noticed that when the FDA announced what they were doing with Juul and all of that here in the States, there was this hurry up rush, bum rush for news. And on CNN and all these other things, they're talking about smoking combustible cigarettes. And they're showing you vape products, vape juice, vape stores, but they're talking about smoking. And I said one time, I said, that's really subliminal. And he goes, bullshit, Mike. He goes, that's actually in your face. We are now training you to think vaping is as bad as smoking.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, you're going to love this one.
Oh,
right?
God.
This is put together. This was a response from the Cancer Council Australia, Quit Smoking Victoria, we'll go on here to the National Health and Medical Research Council here in Australia, and also the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, the CSIRO, right? And then they go on to tout one line of a study that's already been debunked. That a recent European Respiratory Society task force report on e-cigarettes found there was no evidence suggests that the e-cigarettes were safer than tobacco in long term and that they contain potentially toxic chemicals. All right. Butt hurt.
God.
It's mind-blowing. I'm going to send you this link after the show because you're just going to read through these comments and you're going to be there. You better, have you got a pair of clippers? Go and shave your head so you can't pull your hair out, because you're going to be pulling your hair out at this one, just going, are you joking? You are joking. But when it gets to the point where they're now stating that nicotine is carcinogenic, I went,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
What link do you have? Because I actually can throw it up on the screen right here for people that are watching, that they could take a look at it.
Here you go. I'll send you the link now because you're just going to be, you're blown away at this one. Go through some of these comments. They're hilarious. They're all, they're speculative claims and all this, our opinion pieces to promote e-cigarettes with no consideration of the net harms nor unique circumstance in Australia shows precisely why the evidence must be independently reviewed in a vigorous, comprehensive framework. Oh, so you want more money? Yeah, okay, you want money. The reports in this are just... It's blown me away. It's absolutely blown me away. These comments are just... wow.
I'm kind of glancing through some of this, and this is just...
I told you.
What the hell?
What did I tell you?
How the hell do they even... See, this kills me, because this is the exact thing that we try to fight against, is bullshit propaganda. Hi, I'm going to give you my opinion. We're going to call it a fact, and you're not allowed to dispute me because, the FDA said you can't talk about it. That's correct. For us.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. And I will. When I upload this show to YouTube, I will turn around and post that link right there with it. That's just insane.
It goes on, and some of the parallels that they're using don't even add up. This is possibly... When I was sent this link, I thought, okay, I'm going to have a read. And now there's more. There's more comments coming in like today. It was only posted yesterday. And I'm like, wow.
See, now, right here, I turn around and I'm just scrolling through this. I'm seeing that they're taking after the FDA's garbage. Yep. Youth Survey has reported that between 2017 and 2018, there's been a huge increase, 78%. And those numbers are just drop dead fucking wrong. There's no other way to put it.
They're false numbers. They're false numbers.
That's exactly it.
These are numbers that were concocted for one reason. Secondly, no one ever gave out the exact figures of the amount of people cross-studied in all demographics. Yep. That's secondly. Third part that pulls on my nerve right now is how many of them vaped once a week, twice a week, or regular vapors when they're at this age. Like, these are the questions that were never answered and never put into this study. Epidemic, my ass. There is no epidemic. The epidemic was created.
Dimitri Agrafiotis asked the perfect question. Why are they not turning around and saying okay, teen vaping might be up a little bit, but teen smoking has dropped. All the kids, all the teens, all the underage minors that are vaping are no longer smoking. But they never, ever talk about that.
No, and this is why I sent you that link. That link there regarding Australia and the two gentlemen, right? The two gentlemen that they've actually put up there, right? They would like the laws relaxed, and they know for a fact that vaping does work.
Yeah, it does, hands down. You grab 100 people that used to smoke and vape. Shit, grab 1,000 people that used to vape or used to smoke and now they vape. Every single one of them that stuck with it and actually made the transition will tell you this works. Period. The people that sit there and go, well, I tried vaping. Well, no, you didn't really want to quit. Or you gave it a half-hearted attempt. Yeah. I won't even get into that.
And it was,
oh, my God.
It was actually the Royal College that said, well, no, smoking cigarettes is bad. And then all these years later, it's the Royal College that has gone and done the studies on vaping and said, well, no, I'm sorry. These guys are right. Yeah. This community, the vaping community was created. Okay, I'm not going to give a history lesson on vaping, but the fact is that there was a gentleman, Hon Lick, created, and he was a doctor. He created an electronic cigarette because he was a heavy smoker. He wanted a way to actually get his nicotine without all the garbage. Go down the pathway, and now we're at open systems. We're at technology with temperature control, Bluetooth-capable devices, very high-quality liquids from around the world, safe batteries. We have everything in play to make this work. If for argument's sake, and I'll put this very quickly, you're not only putting the vape shops out of business, you're putting the people that actually manufacture the bottles, manufacture the labels, manufacture your propylene glycol, your vegetable glycerin, your food flavorings, your freight companies, your truck drivers, your even your postal service. You're putting all of these people out of a job because we can't understand the technology. Oops.
I'm laughing because what you're saying is so damn true that it's just not funny. You put it that way and they don't get it. Phil Basardo.
I understand it perfectly.
Phil Basardo put it one way, and I loved the bit that he did for the simple reason it was, imagine if vaping, or what he had said, imagine if they could cure cancer. How many hospitals would go out of business? How many pharmaceutical companies would go out of business? How many people would lose their job? How many hospitals would actually close? Mm-hmm. He goes, and we have something that we know works and does not cause cancer, but nobody is talking about it. They're telling you how bad it is. And that's just bullshit.
Yeah, because they're not making the money that they're making from the taxes. They're not making the money from everything else associated with it. But wrong. They are actually making the money. They are making the taxes. You have state taxes. You have federal taxes. You have import taxes. You have freight taxes. You have postage taxes. You're still making tax. I'm sorry. Game over.
Yep, it all comes back down to money and the MSA and tobacco taxes and all that happy shit.
Oh, look. The big thing is they did find a cure for cancer many, many years ago, but the scientists that were working on it were actually all knocked off. They're all no longer with us, right? There was a couple of pharmaceutical companies that actually worked on a project. They were all made to disappear. Then they crushed. They're crushing also, well, not in the United States, but here in Australia, we can't get our hands on CBD or marijuana or any of the other products that will help reduce cancers and to help chemo patients. Chemo will kill you anyway. Chemo is just, a wonderful cocktail of drugs that, you might get through round one, but if you get to round 2 or 3, you're dead.
Yeah.
Game over.
Hi, you're on chemo, so it's killing the cancer cells. Well, sure it is. And it's killing all of the white blood cells, and it's killing all of the red blood cells, and it's killing all the cells in your liver and your kidneys and all. Chemo's nasty shit. Oh.
It's hard to understand why they're trying to kill off a technology that helps more people than what it hinders. Okay, so let me get this straight. So if I went to go and get my Ventolin inhaler, which the compound in that, albuterol, the compound in that, how is it misted and how is it delivered to your body? Propylene glycol.
Yep.
What about, that really shitty stuff that we used to have when we were kids, Robitussin. That cherry that tasted like ass, right? They want our flavors. They want to play the flavor band. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Why? Because you want to create like a new berry or what, banana bread fucking nicotine gum? Go fuck yourself.
Paul,
Sorry.
I tell you what. No, it's quite okay. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here for the evening. I seriously appreciate you taking time to sit down and talk with me this evening. I really do.
No, you're welcome. Totally welcome, man.
We are definitely going to have to do this again. One more time, if you would, tell me, how can people get in touch with you? Or where can they go to view your material across platforms?
Directly, you can contact me, Paul Blamire, via Facebook. You can contact me via YouTube, Labworks Vapes, Twitter, Labworks Vapes, and on Instagram, all Labworks Vapes. And my website, labworksvapes.com, all one word, and off you go. You're good to go.
Fantastic. When are you coming up? I think you said you were doing another show with David Goerlitz coming up here within a couple of days or so.
We're actually recording that tomorrow.
Awesome. I will look forward to listening to that one too.
Actually, I think we might go live with that one because David's pissed off with what's going on here in Australia. So I think we might just go live on my YouTube channel on that one.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. That'd definitely be one I'd like to catch.
Yeah, we don't normally do live stuff. I'm going to be doing a series of videos over the next 2 days to try and highlight some of the other problems and issues that we have here in Australia. But until the government here listens, we're falling on deaf ears right now, which is really hard. It's made me very frustrated. As you can probably see, I'm quite tired from working on trying to figure out and read through all the documentation, how they're doing it, how they're lumping vaping in now with tobacco law, which again, it's not on. It's not fair. We're not tobacco.
No. People, that's one thing other people, they really need to know. Vaping is not tobacco. The only thing that we might share in common is nicotine, but it's not tobacco. All right, Paul.
Okay,
go ahead.
On that note, so are they going to ban tomatoes and capsicum and all the nightshade family? Go to your vegetable store. Get as many as you can because that's all got nicotine in it too.
Yep. It needs a nicotine warning right on the potato and the tomato and all that. God. I'm sure that we'll catch up again here before too long to try and stay apprised of what's going on down in Australia. But again, thank you so much for taking time to sit down and talk with me this evening. I appreciate it. It's midday going on evening time, your time, but it's like early in the morning for me over here.
No, you're welcome, Mike. Anytime.
Again, this is Paul, Labworks Vapes. Go check out his stuff. Listen to what he's talking about. And for people that are down in, is it South or Southern Australia? South Australia?
Well, South Australia, yes.
Get in touch with the people that do the rulemaking. And again, go back, listen again. He mentioned where to get in touch with these folks and tell them you're not going to put up with this shit. All right. Until next time, everybody, I will catch up with you again on another edition of Rewind. This evening was an awesome kind of thing. We'll catch up again soon.